So, I need to battle through this and think about it. And the way it has to work is that I need another gadget because I am going to make it that you can open the multiple images. Am I really going to do this? Am I going to do it? I'm sitting here right as we speak, considering I've gone over it several times since I first thought about it. I think I'm going to really regret it if I don't. But on the other hand, there are other ways to do that close comparison. Man, nothing quite as good as having two gadgets right up against each other. I'm gonna do it, okay. I'm gonna do it. I'm annoyed with myself because I'm creating work. But this is going to be an image gadget. Is it? No, it's going to be something different. It's going to be like a pung gadget. Is that a good word for it? Nah. Well, in some ways, yes, it is. PNG panel. I don't like it when I have to put. I always want to put a capital there, like gadget. And it will be a pung gadget extends gadget. And this will be kind of quite similar to what I've already made up for this, so I think I will just stay. What on earth? Okay, yeah, of course. Okay, so I'm just going to nab this, because actually most of what I was putting into this belongs here. These things I think I will leave. The scale one, show all, close button. Yeah, actually, maybe. Well, there's a distinction from one panel to the next. That's why I'm taking out the save button from the pung gadget. Should I? Or actually, should I just leave that in? Yeah, you know what? This is the way it'll work. It's a bit strange, but I will just actually make them completely consistent, and that the image viewer is about opening a pung gadget and giving you the options to open and close other pung gadgets. This is going to be weird, but yeah, and so by default when you first open the image viewer, you'll be presented with the last render. Is this just too strange? So that if you never press the button to open a new gadget, then you never get a new gadget. I am going to do it this way, and I'm going to regret it later. So I will have a save button, so any image you open with this, you can save a copy of it. Scale 1 and show all, yeah. Close button, yeah. And so the way you exit the image viewer is just by closing the last button, closing the last image. And yet, is it the case that by default whenever you open the image viewer, I think that is the way, yeah, so whenever you click the open image viewer button, the one thing you're presented with, is this right, is the last render. It's got a close button, like every image, like every pung gadget, and when that is closed it disappears. The strange thing about that is that if you then want to get that latest render back, if you open the image viewer and you're looking at the latest render, then you open a new image beside it and start comparing, then you close the latest render so you're looking at another image you opened. Then you want to look at the latest render again. Then, you know, How do you get it back? You get it back easily by closing that image and reopening the image viewer, but that's bizarre. But the latest render is something which I want to think of as a completely disposable thing, hardly a file on your hard disk as much as just a thing associated with the editor, which if you want you can create a copy of. So, I suppose that inside the image viewer, one of the buttons, sorry, I'm just gaping there, save, can be change pung, my button. And another can be open latest pung, my button. So that's a little stack of buttons that are coming up on this. I'm sort of imagining, as I draw this, yeah, that the change, save, and what else was it? And open latest, yeah, maybe open latest isn't down there. Maybe save is down there. These are the zoom buttons, that's close. And maybe open latest is up here when it's not showing the latest. So that I could open, then again, there's still yet more sort of buttons to go on, you know, there has to be some sort of button which is about adding a new pung gadget. So in my craziest version of this, there's a button along every side. I don't need my pen plugged in, or I don't need to be using my pen for this program to go crazy. In my craziest version of this, there's a great big long button along every side of this image. You click on it, and a new pung gadget opens. So if I was to be looking at the latest render here, then click this, suddenly the whole display divides, and I have two images, both of which I can scroll around. This one will have that latest button. It'll also have save copy and change image and etc, etc, everything else the same. So, but maybe that is, well, for one thing, it's not overkill in one sense, because that is quite a nice way to be able to view the multiple images. It'd be nicer still if I could sort of pick them up in this arrangement and move them around, but I'm not going that far yet. Dragging and dropping in my GUI is a thing that's possible, and it happens a little bit between string gadgets, but it's not something I've done a lot of, and honestly, that's something I'll think about more when the larger GUI reorganization happens. The mythical larger GUI reorganization. So, what's a more realistic set of buttons? You know, like I could have a little sort of thing at the side with add. I don't know. If this was the button setup, I could have a quite separate sort of button up here which is just add image. And there are quite a lot of buttons on this display now, but I will do something about that, and I guess that it will be something just like holding control to eliminate to hide the controls. As long as control is held, none of these are shown. And that may change to spacebar. The same, basically whatever key is used on the worktop. I realise control is a silly key to use, considering how many other things use control. So it might just be something else. It might be the spacebar. It's not like typing is a huge part of this app. Anyway, so even though there are a fair number of controls, I think that just having the hide control key work, that will be good enough. So the total potential controls are, this close, save copy, change image, show all one, scale 1 to 1, and show latest. Close and add. Add actually will not be part of the add will not be part of the Pung gadget for now. I think I'll make that a thing that's part of the image viewer gadget, which is the thing that'll open up and allow you to open multiple Pung gadgets. So save button, change Pung, open latest Pung, scale 1, show all, close. Is that everything? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 buttons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But I know one of these is not, because one of these I thought should be up here, like this arrangement. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What was the other one that I didn't put in here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Which one did I miss? When I said this is not one, did I? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I didn't miss any, I just miscounted. Okay, so these are what they are. Now, another thing that is required. Well, I'll store a path to the Pung to load. I will store an image which will have a reference to the image with the texture, so to speak. I will, oh god, I'm gonna have, well, if I was sensible and just using a monkey, actually I won't have an image, I'll just have a material. I think I don't really need an image. If I was sensible in using Mojo, I should say, just straightforwardly, I am using Mojo, just in a slightly daft way, then I would not have to have a material. I could just use an image, but the image in Monkey would be doing something, or Mojo would be doing something really similar to my material image. In fact, exactly the same, because I, do what almost everyone does. But anyway, I'll load a material. I will allow creating it without anything. If the material is null, there's nothing to show. Equals null, return. Similarly with this, I think so. Now, with my latest way of thinking about how this is going to be set up, all of these gadgets will need to exist anyway. Self, face, width, face height. Now, let me think for a moment. Okay, let's just go for this. How do I want to set this up? I want buttons which have words for save, change, and open latest. I want the scale and show all. Nah, you know what? I'll just have words on everything. Close, I'll put an X on. And I'll space them slightly. I'll stick them just in and borders from the side of the gadget. So the one at the top left is going to be open latest. So I will have a CX and CY. And actually, I will, before I do that, have a local bar float equals border. And I'll say CX equals bar and CY equals bar, because the first gadget that I'm going to put in is, oh, I'm sorry, you're right. It's very vague of me. Is the first gadget that I'm going to put in is the one at the top left, and it's open latest. Open latest pung equals new my parent self. String is open latest render. I didn't set up anything else, like, which I will, because I always do this. Float equals button medium, and button height float equals just line height. Line height and button height are always the same, but line height is the thing I would change before button height, so it's meaningless. CX, CY, button width, button height. Open latest pung. And this is important in this case, 0000 for all these gadgets, because these gadgets will change shape as more as more get added and some get removed. Oops. Now CY equals face height minus button height plus bar, and show all equals new my button self show all. And I think that I will have actually I'll put these down here. A small button width as usual. It's just button width divided by 2.0. CX, CY, small button width. I'm hoping these will be small enough just to cram in. Show all button align sides, and this is going to be locked to the left hand side and locked to the bottom. And CX plus equals show all button width plus bar, and what was it? Scale, what did I call it? Scale 1 button equals new I button self scale. I could maybe just say 1 to 1 and hope for the best. CX, CY, small button width and button height. And again, scale 1 button align size is aligned to the left and to the bottom, which is low for the sides left and right, and high for the horizontal sides top and bottom. Now CX equals face width minus button width plus border. And what goes at the extreme bottom right? I think the extreme bottom right goes load new image, and I call that change image, and I'll say that yeah, I suppose load pung makes more sense, doesn't it, because I've got save button. I'm just going to have load button. Load button equals new my button self load image cx cy button with button height load button align sides, and this is locked to the right and to the bottom, so right and left sides locked high, that is to the right, and top and bottom sides also locked high, which locks it to the bottom having the higher position value than the top. cy minus equals load button height plus bar, save button equals new my button self save image cx cy button width button height. Save button is also aligned to the bottom and the right. Then cx equals face width minus button height minus plus bar, and cy equals bar, and close button equals new my button self nothing, cx cy button height and button height, because this is going to be a square button, and it's going to UI image cross, and it is going to take on the text color, the font color of that gadget, and this one is going to be aligned, it's going to be aligned to the right and to the top, so that is the left and right sides aligned high, which is the right hand side, and the top and bottom sides aligned low, which is the top side having the lower value. What is your problem with this? Well, that's a very good problem. Now, excuse me one sec. I must just tell a friend something. It will only take a moment. My typing will entertain me in the future. The little tabs. Okay. Right, these are the buttons. Now, what I want also is a flag, which is, I have the path, the material, and just a simple flag, which is showing latest flag equals, well, false. And in here I will have something like update gadgets. And as always, I'll be sure to spell it incorrectly first time. do stuff, but I'm going to think about some other gadgets as well, for some other methods as well, because there's going to be one which will be load latest, and that'll just be a void and an end, and there'll be another which is load pung, so a void and a path end, and another which is save pung, which will be void with a path and an end, and there'll be in here there will be a response void GUI space event end, and in here I will say self set event response a response true, all my children except what? Now I do have to have a little think about this. I do have to have a little think about it. Because perhaps what I want to do after creating a pung gadget in the image viewer is I actually want to, in the image viewer, take control or take the event response of the close button away from it. And I probably will do that. I think that's how I'm going to be getting the, because it's inside the image viewer that the consequences of the close kind of play out. This can remove itself, but inside the image viewer it has to, what does it have to do? Inside the image viewer, the other gadgets, the other pung gadgets that may happen to be open have to be rearranged, or the image viewer has to close if you're closing the last pung gadget. So that's okay though. I think that I'll just bear that in mind, and kind of as a little, I was going to say aid memoir there, I'll do that. And I will not put a blue beam, but I'll say this happens here because what to do with the close button is up to the owner of the pung gadget. Right? I'll be annoyed by that in the future. Now, but that means everything else comes here, so I'll set myself up with a little, who knows what might end up in here, so I'll do the whole select kind equals event kind. Better to do source or kind? It depends always on the gadget. Event kind. Well, for starters, best to use the select method, thing correctly. Case event kind released on. Then I select origin, and I consider all sorts. I consider the save button. I consider the load button. And the show all button. And the scale 1 button. And I don't consider the close button. I do consider the open latest button, open latest pung, which is now called open latest. So, I have some bits of palaver. And my mind is going brain dead. What sort of things need to happen here? Well, here is where I do what I have been doing, for starters, in where, like GUI, response, yeah, the menu response, this basically, menu render, render menu, case 0 is a still, select pung image file name, and here is where, yeah, I do the little bit of palaver. Select pung image file name. I am going to just, yeah, and I force that pung file name right there like a little sod. Man. Okay. It's basically this. Strange to think that this will go away from here though, and all that will happen is this little bit will be set up. Whoa, hang on a sec, output directory. Alright, okay, begin render must be the thing. Wait, hang on a second. Right, okay. Wait a sec. No, I'm not understanding this now. Oh yes, I am. I am again. F is what comes in from confirm overwrite. God. So I won't be doing a confirm overwrite. I will be doing a confirm, if you haven't saved the last render. It'll be like a confirm overwrite. But anyway. It won't do this bit, it won't do the file requester. But God, I'm just actually really just thinking this through. But anyway, first off, this bit does come away. And it's going to go into save pung. Or rather, do I even need save pung now that I think about it? Who am I kidding? The save button. We'll do one of these. Where am I getting to? 33 minutes. Save, output dir, cursor image, pung, pick types, yeah, lambda function string, fn, file name string. And then it does the confirm overwrite thing. Output directory is that, fn strip extension. Now this is not what it does. It doesn't begin a render. Here's the bit where it says if this file already exists, do the confirm overwrite and then do this. I don't want to begin a render. I've done the render. What I want to do is I want to save whatever is in. Which brings me to another thing. If material equals null, return yes. Yes? No, not quite. There is one circumstance. Do I want to do it this way? I mean, there's a little thing I could do where I say only the load button. God, how do I put it? For one thing, in update gadgets, when there is no material loaded, most of the gadgets are going to be disabled or hidden, and you can load a material or open the latest. Or load an image or open the latest. Is that the way I want it to be? No, I want the extra protection inside the response that says don't bother trying to do anything with the material if there is no material. I think I do want that extra protection. Oh man, it's redundant as hell, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say if E origin equals load. Man, I've got to do both of these before checking if there's a material. Yeah, I guess. And E kind equals event kind released on. But also if E origin equals what was it? Load latest? What did I say it was? Open latest and E kind equals event kind. So that's if, but then at the end of this, if not material, or no, I'll just be more, if material equals null, return. Because nothing after this means anything. Output directory not found. Right. How boring. Because I'm defining a pung gadget outside of the recursor class, it doesn't recognize what my output dir is, which is another thing actually that I bloody realize. Making this outside my pung class, not my pung class, my recursor class, does mean it doesn't have access in the same straightforward way to some of the things that I'm putting inside it do. I could just shift it inside, but this honestly would be a useful little gadget just to stick into a totally standalone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a couple of globals inside pung, one of which is output directory, which I'll bloody call C. Do I need to do something like that, or that, or don't know, I'm going to fix it anyway. And another which I will call latest pung string equals dit. I'll take that away as well. And those are the things that pung gadget will use when when you interact with these buttons. Like open latest is basically just going to open that pung and set the showing latest flag to true, which will hide the open latest button. That is, once update gadgets it's called. Okay, look, this is getting on. It's 40 minutes and I'm a long way from having this in a state where it's going to run, so I'm not going to attempt to get there. I'm going to have a little break and a cup of coffee. And what I will do is I will do this first. I will also say default name. Oh man. I'll have to store pick types as well. I don't like this much. I don't like that much. But never mind, I'll make do just now. This happens You're still default name is default name and pick types you will not recognize yet. What a pain. Okay. Global default default name equals image.pung, so don't be lazy, and pick types string equals something I define up here, and I'm just going to nab it. Where do I define it? Here. It's a very silly place. Can I just get rid of it altogether? I'm going to copy it, then I'm going to rem it, then I'm going to stick it in here, and I'm going to deal with the problems of getting rid of it in there at a later date. Pick types is that. Then I have just these errors, which are some bull. Okay, so I'll just keep on working on the pung gadget, and perhaps I'll be able to see something at the end, absolute end of the next video, being as optimistic as possible. We'll see next time.